So I was asking the Lord about the Lincoln Memorial, and did I hear that word right about the Lincoln Memorial will be brought down? And then he told me, he said the word heath, Heath, right? And it has two meanings. One is a wasteland, and one meaning is to pay attention. And then he said Freemasons. He said Freemasons, and I said, what? Witchcraft? A sign, a symbol, the Illuminati. Yeshe Tihayam, tall tales have been told, and I will bring them down. Ama Sehe Tihaya Messiah, Freemasonry symbol, Masonic Lodge attributes, Sidia Rama Maye Sidiaya, Urama Maye Siaya, Freemason symbols all around. Look further in detail. Ama Sidi Tia Roma Yeshi Sidia witchcraft. Ama Sehe Masonic symbols, alliance. Who built the statue? Who built the statue? He's saying, who built the statue of Abraham Lincoln? I am bringing down lies and plans of the enemy one by one. They shall come tumbling down. The pride of the land shall stand no more. I am the God of all times. I will expose, I will make known. Heathen gods. Osiris, truth. He's telling me to do my research, I believe. Good grounds.
Who built the Lincoln Memorial? A national memorial to President Abraham Lincoln was first proposed 2 years after Lincoln's death in 1865, but construction did not begin until February 12, 1914, Lincoln's 105th birthday. Architect Henry Bacon was selected to design the memorial, taking inspiration from the Greek Parthenon, emphasizing the nation's democratic ideals as well as Lincoln's preservation of the Union. Daniel Chester French was selected to design the statue of Lincoln. French used biographies, photographs, and casts of the president's face to produce the 19-foot-tall seated Lincoln statue. The 175-ton statue was carved over a period of 4 years by the Piccirilli brothers of New York. Evelyn Beatrice Longman, a protege of French, carved the Gettysburg Address and the second inaugural into the south and north walls, while Jules Guerin was hired to create two 60-by-12-foot canvas murals to hang above the speeches. Ernest C. Bairstow carved the exquisite details on the exterior and interior of the monument. Finally, on May 30th, 1922, the memorial was dedicated by Chief Justice William Howard Taft to President Warren G. Harding, who happily accepted it on behalf of the American people.
Who built the statue? Who built the statue? Ama Sehe Tihaya Messiah. He's saying, who built the statue of Abraham Lincoln?
Daniel Chester French was selected to design the statue of Lincoln. French used biographies, photographs, and casts of the president's face to produce the 19-foot-tall seated Lincoln statue.
If one asks the question, who is Daniel Chester French and why is he important? There are several answers that will come to mind. Of course, one of them is the major sculptures that he created, whether early in his career, the Minuteman, or later, the Lincoln Memorial. But there's another element that is so important to French, and to his contemporaries, and to Henry Bacon, who he worked with, and that was that they wanted to make America be part of a great world civilization. We were becoming a world power in commerce, in transportation, in manufacturing, and yet at the same time, what did our cities look like? Ugh. What they wanted to do was make a city beautiful, but also to create works that personified that the connection that the United States would have with the great civilizations of the past, that we were not just a brand new country, but that we do have these connections and that we are drawing upon the past.
I am the God of all times. I will expose, I will make known.
Beautiful, but also to create works that personified that the
image for the World's Fair in Chicago in 1896, taller than the Statue of Liberty, really meant as a rival of the Statue of Liberty in New York. Alas, it was made of flammable materials, and like so much of Chicago, subject to fire, it indeed burned down. But a smaller gilded version stands in a park in Chicago. It will soon be front and center because the Obama Library is being built behind this once quite famous statue.
In essence, those behind the DC street sorcery are at the steering wheel of our nation, and through their sorcery are creating havoc within this nation and the greater world. Below the tetrahedron, made by the White House, the Jefferson Memorial, the U.S. Capitol, and the Lincoln Memorial, is a cross. The center of the cross where the lines intersect is the Jefferson Pier Stone. The Jefferson Pier Stone corresponds to the Kabbalistic point Yesod, which will be shown later. In the 1901-1902 Macmillan Commission plan for the mall in Washington, D.C., you see the same cross inside a seven-sided casket made by the streets that are surrounding the cross, using the aforementioned monuments as the connecting points. Does this symbol represent the death of Christianity?
Architect Henry Bacon was selected to design the memorial, taking inspiration from the Greek Parthenon, emphasizing the nation's democratic ideals as well as Lincoln's preservation of the Union.
In the year 480 BC, the Acropolis lay in ruins. After their defeat in the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC, the Persians came back with a vengeance and destroyed the Acropolis. From these ruins would rise the greatest temple in the Greek world. Built almost 2,500 years ago, its advanced architectural details continue to amaze us today. It was the most heavily sculpted ancient Greek temple ever built, filled with treasures of gold and silver, and held a colossal statue of Athena, made by the greatest sculptor of his time. Beautiful,
but also to create works that personified that the
heathen gods.
I'll give a weird example because people keep asking about the symbolism of America, and I'll just tease this. Okay. So you might have heard we had a civil war a couple hundred years ago here in the United States. It was kind of a thing. So in our name, right, there's a plurality in the name, the United States, right? What is a state? A state is not a province. A state is like the traditional definition of a state is that a state is like, it's like a standalone self-governing principality of some kind, right? So we are the United States. And so the idea is that you had all of these standalone principalities who would come together to cooperate on certain levels, right? And that was let's say that was one vision of what America might be, right? And it's not what came out of the Civil War. And the reason it didn't come out of the Civil War is because there was no higher principality, right? There was no sacred direction toward which each of those individual things could orient themselves, right? And so what ends up happening is, of course, you have some band together against others that band together, and you have a war. So the way that this, I'm going to just say on a symbolic level, the way that the unity of the United States manifests in the post-Civil War area is actually in the person of Abraham Lincoln. And the reason that I believe this is the case is because if you go to Washington, D.C., we have a temple to Abraham Lincoln in Washington, D.C. And it really is a temple. Like it says it's a temple on the temple, right? There's an engraving behind this. So it's modeled on an ancient temple of Zeus. I forget which one, but it's modeled on an ancient temple of Zeus. And then sitting in the center, in the throne, instead of Zeus, it's Abraham Lincoln. And there's an inscription behind him.
That sculpture, man, it's got a lot of that double nature to it, because they actually, in the sculpture itself, they have one side of Abraham Lincoln, which is kind of ordered, and the other side of Abraham Lincoln, which is kind of disordered.
It's a little like what's going on that pentagram.
In the icon of the pentagram.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And so behind his head, in an inscription, it says, "In this temple, as in the hearts of those for whom he saved the Union, Abraham Lincoln will be forever enshrined," something like that. And like, listen to the language there. The idea is that Abraham Lincoln has come into your heart and he has saved you. I mean, that's deliberately, like, that's in the language of the Lincoln Memorial. Yeah. But at the roof of the Lincoln Memorial, and I think it's very interesting that it's the roof and not, say, the floor, but at the roof of the Lincoln Memorial, you have the engraved names of all the states that were in the Union at the time the memorial was built, right? And so there's this idea then that it's almost like an idea of like the Council of the Gods, right? But it's the idea that we're able to sort of like we have a sacred place, we have a sacred building towards which the states are able to orient themselves, right? And so like they're sort of joined in the person of Lincoln. And one of the interesting things that's happened is that as we start to fracture again as a society, you have people. Originally, it was the right who like maybe 10 or 15 years ago got really down on Lincoln because they felt like he'd obliterated the whole idea of like states' rights or whatever. But now it's the left, and they're down at like Lincoln is sort of getting canceled, right? So it's like Lincoln was like the one thing everyone could agree on. It that was the principality, if you will, that was sort of holding this idea of the American vision, the American dream together.
Yeah.
And as we begin to fragment, we're losing our trust in that particular principality.
I don't know why I see a penny. Who is on the penny? Who's that guy on the... Is that Lincoln? Who's that on the penny? Do you guys know? That's Lincoln. The Lincoln Tunnel. There's a Lincoln Memorial too, right? There's a Lincoln Memorial. There's a Lincoln Tunnel. There's a Lincoln Memorial. What are you saying, God? I hear the Lord say, master plan. They see I am telling the times. I see a map and I see an X on the map. I hear demonstration plan. Is there a statue of Lincoln? Is that the Lincoln Memorial? Yes, that's him. What about it, God? What? Are you saying it will be brought down? Messiah exposed for who I am? Can you see it? I am a Surah Messiah, a resting place in me. Say, it shall be brought down, Lincoln Memorial. Say, I am Messiah. Okay, you did say that. The Lincoln Tunnel too. Yikes. Say, I am a Surah. An indication of the times. Say, seeking my glory. Say, I am a Say, the pinnacle. Okay, I keep seeing people like, it's like, and I feel the Lord, it's like as if they were to like wrap string or rope around this memorial and try to pull it down. That's what I keep seeing. Tall tales, Messiah shall be brought down in this hour. I am the one who saves. I am the one who sets free. Freedom is in me. And I hear sackcloth. Brought down. Remember me and who I am. And I think he's referring to the Lincoln Memorial. Speak for the gospel. Or what? Pentecostal church? Denominations? Freedom is here. Be one. Alike in my glory. The likeness of one. I am only one. Unity is in me. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, these are one. More exposure is coming, my bride. Can't you see?